Hey leaders, in this episode I'm going to give you 4 tips on how you can lead more effectively when you are under pressure. Come on, let's get into it. All right, here it is. 4 tips on how you can lead more effectively under pressure. Pressure is part of the game as a leader. If you are not experiencing pressure in your leadership, well, congratulations, but I would be questioning whether you're actually pushing yourself to the limits of what you're capable of if there's no pressure, or maybe you just don't know about it. But the reality is most leaders have times in their leadership where they are under intense pressure, whether it's because of deadlines, whether it's because of difficult staff members, whether it's because of a lack of resource, or there's a host of other reasons why you may feel stressed and under pressure. But the key to good leadership is you need to be able to manage your stress under pressure, because the way that you respond to stress will actually affect your team. If you respond badly to stress, if you are aggro, if you let that spill out onto your team, then what we'll find is it affects motivation of your team, it affects productivity, and it makes them less willing to work with you. So you need to manage your stress and manage your pressure really, really well. So here's 4 keys that you can do it. And the first one is this: you need to manage your expectations. One of the things I learned early on as a leader is very often as a leader, I have a much higher expectation of my team and of myself than is perhaps realistic. So as a leader, sometimes you're the expert in the room. Sometimes you understand the problems faster and better than anybody else. And you can expect your team to get there as quickly as you do. The problem is many times your team is developing, or they are just new to the job, or they are not yet as experienced as you, and so they won't see the problem as quickly as you, and they won't respond as quickly as you, and you've got to manage that gap between expectation. Don't get aggro and don't feel stressed about team members that don't perform at the level of your expectation, because it may be that you need to do some time training them. If they have not been provided the right level of support, or you're putting them into a job that they're not well equipped for or experienced for, then they will not meet your expectation, and that's your problem, not their problem. You've got to manage your expectation and move it to a level that is realistic for the skills and the team that you have. This sort of flows on to the second topic, and that is let go of perfectionism. All right? One of the problems with leaders who are perfectionists is they can raise their expectations so high that it's unrealistic for everybody, including the leader. And they put themselves under so much pressure and intensity that they never get anything done. They're always going for perfection, and so they're always stressed, they're always under pressure because it's never perfect. Well, here's the reality: is perfect doesn't exist. Excellence does. So what I would do is substitute perfection for excellence. Excellence says we will do our very best with the resources and the people that we have right now, and we will look for ways to improve it next time. You've got to understand that perfectionism is a slippery slope that will only cause more stress for you and your team, because you will never attain the lofty heights of perfectionism. So instead, encourage your team to go for excellence. Ask them the question: is this the best we can do with what we have? Is there a way that we can improve it for next time? And ask yourself that question too. Can I be happy with good enough? Okay, there comes a point where you've got to say, you know what, I've done everything I can, I need to put this to market, I need to get this out, I need to be done with this project. And so you've got to know where that good enough line is, and you've got to be able to say, okay, maybe it's not perfect, but it's good enough, and we're going to go with it, and then we're going to keep improving as we go. This is why software developers have updates, because they never get it perfect the first time. They put out the beta, they test it, they know that it works, they get it out there, and then as they go, they find flaws and they improve on the flaws as they go. If software developers didn't operate like this, if they were perfectionists, nothing would ever come to market. They would constantly be trying to find the flaws and constantly trying to improve before anybody has had a chance to test it. So make sure you let go of perfectionism and go for excellence instead. The third thing to do to manage pressure is this: you need to create very clear goals expectations and boundaries. Let me say that again. You need to have very clear goals, expectations, and boundaries. If you as a leader haven't communicated clearly for your team where you're going, how you're going to get there, and what it looks like when you're going to get there, one, your team's going to work to their own expectations and that will frustrate you. But two, you will find that you have more disunity or confusion in the team because everybody's trying to do it their way, but they don't really know how to go about it. I used to work for a leader who never really knew what he wanted. He just knew what he didn't want. And so he would come in after we'd finished a project and say, I don't like it. Now, if you asked him, what is it that you would like us to change? He didn't know. He'd say things like, I don't know, I just know I don't like it, so find a solution and fix it. Well, that's really confusing for a team. It's really hard to work with leaders like that. If you're not clear about where you're going, if you're not clear about how the team is meant to work and the expectations surrounding that and the boundaries or the limitations of how far they can experiment, if you haven't communicated that, then you're setting yourself up for frustration and stress, and when you're under pressure, your team will perform less effectively. So set clear goals, boundaries, and expectations, and you will have less stress under pressure. And the final thing is this: you need to create margin. In whatever you do, you need to create some room for breathing. You need to create room for blowouts. What if you don't get it done on time? Have you created margin so that you can keep working on it and get it done? Or are you pushing your team and you're backing up projects so frequently that it puts them under so much stress and under so much pressure that you end up burning out your best players? Don't operate with no margin. Nobody can do that. And when you operate with margin in your personal life, in your working life, what you'll find is you are less stressed and you feel less pressure. You know, create margin in your time. So when you're scheduling stuff, make sure you leave gaps so that you have some time to transition between appointments or between meetings or whatever it might be. Create margin in your personal life. Create space for your family. Create space for recreational activity. And also create margin for your team. Give them opportunities to be able to, you know, have days where they just interact as a team and build team relationships. Don't just always be about the work. You've got to create some space, create some margin, and then you will find that when you are under pressure, the team will rise to the occasion, they will handle the stress more effectively, and you will have a more cohesive team, less likely to burn out, including you as a leader. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you got a ton of value out of that episode. Don't forget to let us know what you thought in the comments, and if you have a topic you'd like us to cover next time, we'd love to hear from you. If you know anyone that would benefit from the content that we produce, please like and share this channel, and we look forward to having you next time on the Tarun Stevenson Leadership Channel.